Hey guys, welcome to lesson 12 problem set. Bronson hasn't made an appearance on our videos lately, so here he is. Say hi to everyone. Just trying to see if I had a treat for him. I don't. Not here at school, buddy. We'll have to wait till we get home. So, all right, go ahead. Good boy. And let's get started on our problem set. All right. So here we are. Let's get our names on it. And let's go ahead and read the directions. It says estimate and then solve using the standard algorithm. You may draw an area model if it helps you. So I'll help do an area model at first, but then we're just going to rip through these with standard algorithm. So 1 and 21 hundredths is close to 1 times 14. Our answer should be roughly 14. Now we rounded down, so our answer should be a little higher than this because our estimate is a little low. So let's go ahead and I'm going to just, for help us think about it, and for people using the area model, remember that's 121 hundredths times 14. So when you're going to set that up, it's 121, and those are hundredths. And you're going to multiply that by 14. But I'm going to go switch colors and work over here on their standard algorithm. And remember, we're just working on 1s times the top. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And 4 times 1 is 4. Remember, this is why I've been asking you to practice those multiplication facts, because it's so important that it allows you to really just focus on the steps of standard algorithm and not really worry about those factors. All right, now we're on to our tens place. So now we're working with tens. So we got to represent that with a 0 in the ones place over here. 1 times 1, 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. And let's go ahead and add those up. And we know that we were working with hundredths, which has 2 digits behind the decimal. So we're going to go ahead and place it right there. Our answer is 16 and 94 hundredths. All right, now I got the area model completed, and you can see that that matches up just as nice. All right, let's go ahead and move on to problem B on this. And 2 and 45 hundredths, well, it's not past the midpoint, it's not past 2.5. So it's going to be roughly 2 times 305, or about 2 times 305, which will give us 710. So again, we rounded down to estimate that. So our answer is going to actually be above this. This time, if you're going to use the area model and to help us think about what we're doing over on the standard algorithm, it's going to be 245 hundredths times 305. Now, I'm not going to be using the area model or modeling the area model with you anymore. So you're going to be just checking your work against my standard algorithm practice. And okay, over here, we're going to just go ahead and do our 1s times the top number. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 2 is 22. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 more is 12. Now we're moving on to the tens place. So we can go ahead and multiply the tens times the top number. We're going to go ahead and represent a 0 down here for the tens place. 0 times 5 is 0. 0 times 4 is 0. 0 times 2 is 0. Now we're moving on to the hundreds place times the top. And we're going to go ahead and represent 2 zeros down here to show the hundreds place. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. And 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. And then we can go ahead and add these up. So I think it's really important to make sure you cross off your regroupings so that you do not get confused when you're adding. And then we can go ahead and know we're working with hundredths, so we know that that's 2 digits behind the decimal. So I just have to make sure there's 2 digits behind the decimal, and our answer is 747 and 25 hundredths, which is pretty reasonable compared to our estimate, which is only 37 off. All right, nice job. Let's go ahead and go to the next page of our problem set. All right, now we're on page 2. Let's read the directions. It says estimate and then solve using standard algorithm. Use a separate sheet to draw area model if it helps you. The reason why it says use a separate sheet is obviously there's not much room in here, but maybe you can squeeze it in if you're using pencil. Remember, I'm just wanting you to be accurate. So I'm going to ask that you pick 2 of these to solve in a second, but we're going to estimate them all together. So let's start on 2A. 1 and 23 hundredths is close to 1, and then 12 is close to 10, so our answer should be around 10. Now we rounded down by both of those, so it's going to be, our answer is actually going to be higher than that. But because our first factor is 1, we probably could keep the second factor as exactly 12 because we know 1 times anything is itself, so that makes it really easy to work with. So we could actually, that will allow us to be a little bit more accurate with our estimate. Well, 1 and 3/10 is 1, rounds to 1 because we're not past that midpoint of 5/10. And then we're going to multiply it by 26. If we rounded that, that'd be 30. And since we rounded the first number down, let's round that one up and see how accurate that gets us. We'll round 1 factor down, we'll round the second factor up to see what we get. But again, we could have kept that second factor as 26 and been easy to work with because our first factor was 1. Now let's go down here. This one's interesting because it's a 0 in the ones place. So if we rounded to the ones place, we would get just 0. And 0 times anything 0, that wouldn't really be a useful estimate, would it? So what do we do? Well, let's just go to the next place value that actually has a value and round to that one. And in this case, it would be 2/10 is the next largest place value that actually has a value inside of it. So if we rounded to 2/10, well, 3 hundredths is not past the midpoint, so it would be 0.2. And then 14 would round near to 10. So 2/10 times 10. Now to do this in my head, I'm converting that in my head to 2/10. So 2 times 10 is 20, and 20/10. Okay, then I can convert that back to 2.0. Now we rounded both of those down, so our answer should be a little higher than that. Again, over here, we're working on an answer that has a 0 in the ones place, so we have to come to the next value, which is a 4 in the tenths. And I can see next door it has a midpoint number, which is the midpoint number, which is 5, so we're rounding up. So it's 5/10. Again, I'm going to think about this in my head as unit form, so 5/10. And 26 rounds to near to 30. So 5 times 3 is 15, and then we're 5 times 3/10, so it's 150 tenths. So 150 tenths, and then if I think about tenths, that's 1 digit behind the decimal. So we can use our place value knowledge to put that 15 right there. So let's go, you go ahead and pause me now, and I'll pause my video, and we'll all go ahead and start working on these problems, and you can come back and check. You're going to work on 2 of them, and then check your work. All right, let's go ahead and check your work. Now you'll notice up here on this 1 or 2B, we were working with tenths, and there was only 1 digit after the decimal for tenths, so we have to make sure that we're showing that down in our answer. So make sure that that was correct in your problem. And then go ahead and check your next two. Now we got 4 more problems left. So again, I'd like you to pick 2 out of these 4. And we're going to do the same steps. Now let's go ahead and estimate. Together 7 and 0, 7.06 or 7 and 600ths is going to be close to 7. 20 gets close to 30. So our answer should be close to 210. Over here, 6 and 3200ths is close to 6. 223 is close to 200. So our answer should be around 1,200. On G, 7.06 is close to 7. 208 is close to 200. Our answer should be reasonably around 1,400. 151 and 4600ths. Well, we could round that all the way up to 200, but let's round it to 150 to make our answer a little bit more accurate. And then let's go ahead and round the next one to 550. Let's round that up to 600. Well, can you do that in your head? If you can, great. But what we realized is that doesn't really make it easy for us. So let's not work without that. So let's go ahead and round it to 200. And then we put our 4 zeros with it. So our answer should be close to 120,000. Now, all right, so you're going to pick 2 of these 4 and go ahead and solve. I'm going to pause, you're going to pause, and then we'll come back and check our work. All right, let's go ahead and check your work. And now that we're starting to get to some products that are larger than into the thousands and 10,000s place, requiring us to use commas in our numbers, one thing that I haven't said yet, and I want to make sure I say, is that you make sure you place your decimal and then think about placing where your comma is going. So if we look at this answer on F, where it was 1,409 and 3600ths, place your decimal and then go ahead back and place where your comma would be. Same thing is true down here on G and H. Make sure you go ahead and place your comma after you get your decimal so that you're accurate with your placement of that. All right, so let's go ahead and shift into the word problems. And I'm going to allow you to pick just one of these, and I'm going to pick for you. And we're just going to work on 3. We're going to be working on Denise walking the beach every afternoon. And I'll help you set it up, and then we'll work on, you'll check your work after. So Denise walks on the beach every afternoon. In the month of July, she walked 3.45 or 3 4/45 miles each day. How far did Denise walk during the month of July? Now this requires some month knowledge. How many days does July have? Now, I honestly can't remember the poem that people say to remember the days, but I do know that July has 31 days in July. So she walks 3.45 miles each day, and you're going to be multiplying that by 31 days. So go ahead and solve this. Pause me and solve it. Remember, to answer, I would like to see the mathematical answer, but then also to see a statement, flipping the question, sharing the answer that way. All right. As you can see, you can check your math. And remember, when you're checking your work, if you make a mistake in the partial product area, that means you made a multiplication mistake. And then if you made an error down here, then you made an addition mistake. All right. So that's helpful when you're analyzing your own work. All right, guys, nice job on today's problem set. We are now working on the exit ticket, and please make sure that you submit a clear picture of your exit ticket. Remember, if you can't read your work on your picture, then I can't read your work on your picture. So please make sure that I can get a clear copy of your exit ticket. All right, nice job.